Hey, teachers for Waterhouse Kids, thank you so much for serving again this week. The theme is Hawaiian for the church theme. That is not our theme, but still dress in Hawaiian clothes. We're going to have leis. Everybody will wear a lei. If you get Hawaiian clothes, just dress up, enjoy. It's great. I've got a tablecloth for each week of the themes, so that when you come in here, it is semi-decorated. I'm not decorating the whole stage with a bunch of stuff each week, but this week it is pretty easy. You know, I got some tablecloths for each week is what I did, and that just makes it pretty easy to do tablecloths and put those out. At the end of the second service, we can throw those away. But this week he is talking about joy. This week we're talking about suffering and peace through suffering. The Bible story is Stephen being martyred. So in this suffering, he was martyred. Very, very good Bible story, because a lot of kids don't think, hey, everything become a Christian, everything should be easy. And the reality is that's not the reality of what God says. So I think understanding that reality, that God uses suffering, and the story of Stephen. So here's what I encourage you during the call to action, right at the end of the Bible story, there's an object lesson. So I'm going to go over that object lesson with you, and then I'm going to encourage you to do this. So here's what's supposed to happen. You're going to have the small bottles. This has vinegar in it, if you notice about where it is set. Okay, so it's a little less than half. We have a balloon. Now the balloon already has peace written on it, but you're supposed to hide that word peace from them. And it has about almost 2 tablespoons of baking soda in here that we put in with a funnel. But you're supposed to hide the word peace. And then when you talk about the call to action, and you read through the call to action, it's very clear that you say, hey, this bottle represents us. And you know what? When we're going through life and going through stuff, life happens and there's suffering, and you and I are going to suffer. And guess what? But our faith, think of this vinegar, this is faith. God gives us faith as we read his word, as we listen to the testimonies of other people, what God's done. God gives us faith. But sometimes, and then what you do is you take this, and I've got it on a tray here. You don't want to tilt it up yet, and you just set it on. You want to make sure it's on well. And then you say, we can pray and say, God, in the middle of my storm, in the middle of my suffering, in the middle of what I'm going through, could you give me peace? And you know what? Our God is a God that wants to do that. He wants you and I to have peace. Now, what do we have to do? We have to depend upon him. Now, here's what I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to encourage you to get the plastic all the way under this bottom lip so that it will stay on. And then say, you know what? When we pray to God and we're asking God, God, give us peace. God, I trust you. God, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give the situation to you. He will give you peace, and your faith will grow. And you put that together, and then all of a sudden, look at there, it will begin to grow. I'm going to hold on to this to make for sure. And basically, the situation is it should fill up the balloon, and the kids should be like, oh, look at that. And you know what? God is the one who gives us peace. As soon as you do that, it comes together. It's really quick, pretty easy. This other one that we had in here actually stayed up. I really like the one that I did earlier because it actually stayed up. Now, right after that, here's what I encourage you to do. I encourage you to go in and say, guess what? I'm going to tell you a personal story, and I want you to tell a personal story where you've had to suffer, where you've gone through a very difficult time, and yet through that difficult time, you didn't know where God was. You didn't know, you felt like maybe he had left you. And then I want you to be able to share a personal story of saying, but you know what? Hopefully the testimony is, but I was praying, I was reading my Bible, I spent some time with the Lord, just this alone time, and God gave me his peace. And even though this person was in the hospital, or even though the situation was going on, I realized God was with me. And that's what I'm expecting from you, is to be able to say that, share how God was with you even in the middle of the storm. Share your story. Your personal story, your testimony is the most powerful thing you can share for these kids to hear and understand the message. Okay, so here's the craft. Let me show you the craft. This is not in the curriculum, this craft, but it is so they're going to cut this out. This is probably going to take them about 20 minutes. Just getting this cut out is going to take a while. I glued this with glue stick, and it comes together like so. And it's the story of Stephen. And then this just gives the full story of Stephen here when they unfold it. So I did it on regular paper. So they let them cut it out and then help them glue it together and fold it. And then at that point, once they got it folded and glued together, then they can start coloring it and finish up coloring it and all. Okay, so there you go. Love you guys. Excited. This week, we will be heading to kids camp on Tuesday. So we will hand out wristbands in the church services for the adults to put a wristband on that has a child's name on to remember to pray. All right, love you guys, and I'll see you on Sunday. Remember, dress Hawaiian.